hate my life. I hate my kid. I resent my family. I resent my in-laws. I resent my wife. I hate myself. I never wanted kids, but was never adamantly against having one. I get married. My wife knows how I feel about kids. When we were engaged, my answer was maybe one, definitely not more. As my friends started having kids, I started leaning heavily against having kids. Some parents had good kids. Some parents had bad kids. Even the easy kids looked like too much work. Cue my wife's sister dying. All of a sudden family is super important to my wife. I get that. At this point my answer to kids was still no. My wife bothered me and bothered me. Eventually I was convinced. The deal was her parents would sell their ranch and come live on our street. I was convinced. I was so dumb. I was told not to worry about all the realities of having a kid and losing my life, because grandma and grandpa are down the street and would be all the parents baby ever needed. Since my wife's sister died, she was the only hope for grandkids. My wife and her parents worked me over so good. They convinced me. They made good points. My wife's parents were in their 50s and good health. They would be here beyond the baby phase and would have enough energy to keep up with a kid. I'm shown enough Disney movies and Kodak moment and am promised that I just have to be a good dad and provider. A 1950s dad, if you will, one where the mom unfairly does all the hard stuff. All the good and no bad. Cool, fine by me. Well, here we are, 11 years later. My kid is odd, which is pretty much alphabet soup for your kid being an asshole and defiant. Nothing else is wrong with them. The diagnosis is literally that they are vindictive and cruel and seek conflict. Not because they can't communicate or our hips are sensitive to stimuli, but just because. Guess what? Grandma and grandpa say the kid is too much. They haven't helped for more than a day a month in almost 7 years. And here I am, on Reddit on my laptop, tethered to my phone in a parking lot at the park after dark. I came home from work to my son spitting on the neighbors to doorknob. His reason: get the neighbors sick. Why does he want them sick? His Amazon package got delivered to their house in the morning and they waited until evening to give it to him. Well, in returning for telling him not to do that, my son went into the attic and peed all over the one banker's box of memorabilia I have from my parents, who both died before I was 20. I left the house and am sitting in my car. I don't know if I'm coming back, and I don't want advice. This isn't lack of discipline or bad parenting. I've read every book. I've worked shifts 6 days a week for a decade to pay for tens of thousands of therapy, behaviorist, counseling, classes. You name it. At the end of the day, it is my fault. I am so spineless. I knew I didn't want kids. I was convinced because, well, I'm a jellyfish. And here I am, 45 years old, crying in my car in the park. My advice to other men and women out there: only have a kid if you 1000% want them. Don't listen to others when they say they'll help. They'll help if you have a happy, bubbly, easygoing kid, not if you spawn the devil himself.